Hello, Simon here with my very first tutorial that I'm making with the MicroGranny 2.5. I'm I've had many years of people helping me with tutorials on instruments and things, and I thought it's time for me to give it back, give some back. And I've had trouble with the MicroGranny to begin with, and I'd like to share with you my findings about how to get samples onto the MicroGranny with the micro SD card. In the beginning, when I tried to do that, it acted up in a weird way, and I was just about to send it back because I thought it was broken. But then I found that it actually, there are a couple of things that you need to take care of, and so it's actually quite easy then. So as you know, if you have this machine in the back, you have this micro SD card. And this is one of the things that I don't like about this machine, because I have to use tweezers to get out the micro SD card. Maybe that is because I have Hagrid-like hands, or maybe you have the same trouble, but I just can't get it out with my fingers. And also, if you insert the card again, there is a chance of you sticking it in, the wrong way, and it ends up inside of the box, so inside of the machine, because you have to hit the right spot to actually insert the card properly. So I think that's not very well made. They could have done it in a different way, but it's all right. I like the nature of the Bastl Instruments, the way the philosophy of them. You won't buy this because you want a professional sampler or anything like that, or anything that does high quality stuff. There is other machines out there, but if you want a quirky lo-fi mangling sound creation machine, this is the one. So yeah, if you take out the micro SD card and insert it into a computer, you will find the sample files. The sample files are restricted to 2 letters. If it's a letter, it has to be capital, and also you can use numbers. So for example, AA or B1 or C5, those are the names that the samples can have. And then there's also a restriction on kilohertz that you can see in the manual. And so this is my first tip for you. If you want to convert your samples to fit onto for the MicroGranny to recognize them, you will have to convert them. Um, and I have found a nice software. It is for Windows. I don't know if it's available for Mac, but it's called Media Human Audio Converter. It's completely free, and basically you don't have to do anything. You don't have to load the sample or anything. It's a drag and drop operation. You just drop your samples in there, and you can set it up to automatically convert your samples and put them into a different folder. So it's basically drag and drop, and your samples are ready for the MicroGranny, except for renaming them if you have long file names, as I said before. But once you have that, if you would like to use this, just Google Media Human Audio Converter, and send those guys a note if you like it, because I think they're doing a really good job and it works fine with a MicroGranny. So once you've converted the samples, you will put them onto the root of the SD card, of the micro SD card, and that's where my problems began, because if you try to search for a sample, you have to hit the button of the slot that you want to use, and then you have to hit the up-down buttons. And I found that it takes ages and ages to search through the SD card once you've put one of your custom samples on there. So I stopped doing that because it was really annoying. I emptied the card and just put the raw samples on there, and that is actually that works fine. But also, if those samples have names that are pretty high in the alphabet, like Z1 or M or whatever, I also found that it searches for a long time. So I changed the names and started from A1, A2, A3, A4, 5, and 6, because you have 6 slots here, and I said, okay, then I have 6 samples to start off with, and they're called A1 to A6. Then, if you completely empty the SD card and just put the samples on, there is no program. The MicroGranny needs a saved program to load samples on default if you switch it on for the first time. So then you need to make a program and put the A1 to A6 samples into that program and then save it. That is pretty straightforward. You just basically hit a button here, and then you search through the samples. So you press this one and then search the samples. So you've got A1, then you press this one, A2, press this one, A3, press this one, A4, and so on. And then soon you'll have your 6 samples lined up. And then you just save the preset. I think saving is hitting the FN button and the record button, and then confirming it. And then a text file is created on the micro SD card. And the name of the text file, wait a minute, I'll have a look. The name of the text file is po1.txt. And in the manual it says you are not supposed to change that, otherwise you'll probably corrupt the file. But that's fine. You make the files on the machine. The MicroGranny does that for you. But once you have that, you have basically a preset that works on startup with 6 samples, A1 to A6, and I have then proceeded to do this. If I want to change my 6 samples or put 6 other samples on there, I just have a different sample and call it A1 to A6 and just drop it on the card. And if you put the card back in, you'll have a completely different set of samples. This is for how I make music, pretty straightforward, because I play in a band and I just want to go where we practice and have 6 fresh samples with me. So I just find 6 fresh samples, name them A1 to A6, and then drop them on the card, and I'm ready to go. I don't have to do anything else. It's all set up from then. So this is my approach of how to do it. And if that helps you for how you operate and how you make music, then yeah, you can give this a try. And also, what I'd like to say is there is one sample that is hardwired, or I think it's hardwired in the machine, which is the ZZ sample, or ZZ, depending on where you come from. This sample is the one that if you switch it on, there is this voice saying MicroGranny, and that's nice to begin with. And as I said, I'm playing in a band and I don't want my bandmates to mess around with my MicroGranny, so I just put that additionally to the A1 to A6. I have the ZZ sample also on the SD card, and it is executed every time you switch on the sampler. And mine, as I like to show you here, is
"Don't you touch my MicroGranny."
Yeah, don't you touch my MicroGranny. That's what I put in as a custom sample to annoy my colleagues in the band. Yeah, it's worked pretty well. So if you would like to customize that, just change the ZZ sample for something that you made. You can also, as you probably know, record the sample with a built-in microphone, which I did, and have your own custom ZZ sample, which you of course need to edit outside of the MicroGranny to give it a name if you record it on through the microphone here. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'll show you the samples that I have. If I press this button here, you'll see A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6. And as I said, if you just press this button and change, you will have A2 sample on here, and go back. And this process works in a couple of seconds here, or even less, with all the samples on board, with a custom from the manufacturer, all the samples on board. If I put a fresh sample in there, it would take me ages to find it. So this is the approach that I use. And like I said, if you want to save this, if you want to save the program, you just hit FN and then hit record, and it says save, and that's it. This will give you the text file, and then you're basically ready to go. Yeah, I think that's it. Other than that, I'd like to wish you all the best with your MicroGranny if you have one. I think it's a fantastic instrument, a fantastic quirky little box, and thank you very much for Bastl Instruments to have come up with it. Like I said, the only thing that I would like to have changed is the way the micro SD card works. But I've already thought of a solution. I may put, instead of using tweezers in the back here, I might glue something onto the SD card to have something where I can pull it out directly. But I'm kind of scared of doing that. I don't know if I'm going to destroy the SD card or not. But you know, I might give it a try. Other than that, enjoy your box and keep on making music. Bye for now.